No DQ Galaxy. We are live with the NoDQ.com recap of AEW Dynamite for March the 9th, 2022. We have a lot to discuss, a very newsworthy episode of Dynamite following the 2022 Revolution pay-per-view. So without any further ado, let's get right down to it. Shout out to everybody, by the way, for watching, whether it's live or on demand. Thank you for your viewership and support. We kicked Dynamite off right with Chris Jericho. Did his whole Judas entrance. Talked about how his match against Eddie Kingston at Revolution was one of the best matches of his AEW career. He said that Eddie Kingston awakened something in him. He wanted to make things right. He did not shake Eddie's hand at the pay-per-view. He wanted to make up for it. Eddie Kingston deserves his respect. He invited Eddie to come down to the ring. Eddie arrived, and Eddie cut this promo, talked about how shortly before the pay-per-view, he wanted to take in the poison that he's been taking for many years, and talked about all of his losses leading up to Revolution. The crowd started to do the what chants at him, but he responded. He said that they should respect him and said that his man Steve Austin is not there. And the fans did shut up at this point. He talked about crying in his hotel room after going to the Fan Fest and how people were telling him that his words and his story helped them in their personal lives. And he said he wanted to make those people proud. He did what he did at Revolution for them, not Chris Jericho. And the crowd was firmly behind him, chanting Eddie. And then Jericho said he wanted to do that handshake. Eddie did shake his hand. And then we had the shenanigans. We had 2.0 and Daniel Garcia arrive. They attacked Jericho and Kingston. And then we had Santana and Ortiz run down to make the save. Chris Jericho was back up. Chris Jericho was going to take out 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, but Vince Russo swerve. Jericho turned his back on his inner circle teammates, Santana and Ortiz. And we had the beatdown on Santana and Ortiz. Jake Hager ran down, acted like he was going to attack Chris Jericho, but instead, Hager joined in on the beatdown towards Santana, Ortiz, and Eddie Kingston. And then Jericho took Floyd, his baseball bat. He hit Kingston in the head with a bat, and then they set up a table, and Kingston was powerbombed off the apron through the table below. And then Jericho got on the mic and said that this group, him, Hager, 2.0, Daniel Garcia, they are the Jericho Appreciation Society. And they all did the middle finger. Basically, it's Inner Circle 2.0, but with a new name. Not sure how I feel about the name, but all in all, this segment was excellent. I loved the double cross, Jericho going back to a heel. The thing, though, is what does this mean for Judas? Jericho has always been about reinventing himself, and as much as I love Judas, I think maybe it's time to put it to rest. Maybe Jericho uses one of his other songs or changes things up. Nonetheless, I thought this was really well done, and this gives 2.0 and Daniel Garcia an opportunity to latch on to Jericho, and maybe Jericho can build them up. You know, Sammy Guvvara he spread his wings. He's flying. Santana and Ortiz, they're doing their own thing. And now Jericho can take some new guys under his wing and try to make something out of them. I really enjoyed the segment. Very strong start to Dynamite. Big angle here to kick things into high gear. We had our first match of the evening, which was not just any random match. This was an AEW World Championship match. Hangman Adam Page defending his title against, well, Dante Martin. But hey, Dante has a big winning streak in singles competition with the rankings. So he got this title opportunity, a rare title match on Dynamite. And we all know that Dante is not winning the title, but he had a pretty solid showing against Page. He got in some offense. He even hit a moonsault coming off of the top to the outside. He got Page back in the ring and came off the top, but Page caught him with a sit-down power bomb. And from that point on, it was pretty much Page, although Dante did try to get back in it, but Page ultimately picked up the win to retain his title with the buckshot lariat. And then after the match was over, Page got on the mic and he gave Dante some serious praise for the singles run, said Dante is one of the hardest hitting, fastest guys he's ever been in the ring with. And then Page shook his hand to show that respect. But then we had Adam Cole interrupting. Adam Cole said it was a fluke victory at Revolution and says the next time that he gets in the ring with Page, Page will not be so lucky. And then Cole issued a challenge, 6-man tag team match for next week's show. And you had Cole saying that he's got 2 guys that know Page better than Page knows himself, and said that he is going to make Page's life a living hell and his days as champion are numbered. So yeah, they're keeping the Adam Cole, Adam Page storyline going, but you know what? You got over 2 months until Double or Nothing. You got to have something for Adam Page to do in the meantime. We'll probably get another match on a Dynamite between Page and Cole, which is fine. Keeps Cole busy, keeps Page busy until the next big pay-per-view. We had a tag team match. We had Bryan Danielson teaming up with Jon Moxley against the Workhorsemen, J.D. Drake and Anthony Henry. Basically a showcase match for Bryan and Moxley. William Regal, who debuted at Revolution, was out there. He was providing that managerial support. And yeah, Moxley hit the paradigm shift to Henry on the floor. Drake got his head kicked in and then tapped out to the label lock. That's a mouthful. And then afterwards, Tony Schiavone spoke with them, and William Regal said it was 29 years since him and Tony Schiavone first appeared on television together. And Regal talked about how he lived a hard life in and out of the ring, and he had checked out of the industry after his previous job was no longer required. He thanked Tony Schiavone for helping him when he came to the United States. He started getting really emotional, and then he said that he heard Bryan mention his name on Dynamite, and that piqued his interest. He said that Bryan Danielson, is the wrestler that he should have been, but of course his personal demons prevented him from reaching that full potential. And he said it was time to show up. He says that Moxley and Bryan, they are the perfect tag team combination. And he had a message for the roster, the tag teams in AEW. It's time to step up or get stepped on. Awesome promo here from Regal. I thought he did a really good job with this promo. I'm digging the tag team. Boosts up the tag team division even more than it already was. I say let's do it. We are off to the races here with this trio. I'm liking it. And apparently Regal is listed on the roster page, so maybe he's got one more match left in him. Hell, if Sting can do it, Regal's almost a decade younger. We could certainly see that one day. Maybe Regal gets back in the ring, 6-man tag team match, especially if they ever consider doing a trios championship in AEW, which is something that has been rumored. I guess Moxley and Danielson are faces. Danielson is a face now. I mean, you have to be. I mean, after that promo, that was a total babyface promo from Regal. I think Danielson is back to being a face now, but you never know. We had Adam Page backstage with the Dark Order, and they wanted to volunteer their services for the tag team match, the 6-man match next week. And Page said that he had already met up with the Jurassic Express and they agreed to tag with him. And the Dark Order were like, oh, yeah, that's cool. But yeah, you could kind of get the vibe that they were frustrated and a little bit of dissension maybe between Page and the Dark Order. Maybe we finally get that Dark Order heel turn. I never thought they could go back to being faces again, but feels like they're kind of just there on Dynamite. Feels like they need a shakeup or we need something to change with them. Maybe you can use Eric Redbeard as the new leader to carry on the legacy of Brody Lee. I don't know, but I feel like the Dark Order needs something. They're just there, and it's getting a little old with them, in my opinion. You gotta do something different with those guys. I think either break them up or change the act. We had Wheeler Yuta going up against Pac, and Orange Cassidy was there. His arm was in a sling from what happened at Revolution when Keith Lee tossed him out of the ring. But luckily, Cassidy will not need surgery. He is expected to miss a little bit of action. And Pac picked up the win here fairly easily. Showcase match for him. One with the brutalizer after hitting an avalanche brainbuster. Not much else to say about it. Backstage, Adam Cole revealed his partners, and he said that these guys know how to throw a party. Now, of course, this was teasing that it was the Bucks. The Bucks said they're not going to do it. But then Cole said he wasn't talking about them. He was talking about Red Dragon. So the dissension continues to set up the inevitable Cole and Red Dragon versus Bucks and Kenny Omega whenever Omega makes his return. We had FTR backstage with Tully Blanchard, and Dax Hardwood was talking about doing things as a wrestler for his family. Tully said it's not about that. It's about winning championships, and, well, Tully was fired. Cash Wheeler fired him. FTR turning face, getting rid of Tully Blanchard. I'm curious to see where this one goes. Got a super chat here, $1.79 super chat from Carl. Thank you for that, Carl. Says, what one thing would you change in AEW? Good question, Carl, and that's a hard one to answer on the spot. I guess one thing I would change would be making things easier to understand for potential first-time viewers, which would mean less insider references. I'm all cool with the Easter eggs, and like I said, I had no problem with the CM Punk Ring of Honor style entrance, but people getting shamed for not recognizing that song was from Ring of Honor almost 20 years ago. I mean, come on now. But yeah, the little references to being the elite, and when they say stuff on television and you're expected to know every little detail about a wrestler's past. Like, I think that's one thing that they could do a little bit better. The Easter eggs are fine, but I think sometimes they expect people to know every single little reference to something on the internet or something on a YouTube show. So we had a pretty big moment here to start off the second hour. We had the Andrade Hardy family office emergency meeting. Matt Hardy wanted to make peace with Andrade. Andrade wanted to fire Matt Hardy. And Andrade was wondering, why wasn't Matt Hardy wearing a suit? Matt said he wasn't wearing the suit because the suit makes him an asshole, like Andrade. And Andrade said they're going to take a vote if Matt Hardy stays in the group or not, even though Matt started the group. Matt said there's no point because Private Party, they have his back. Everybody voted down except for Private Party. They voted up. But then, just like Batista and Triple H, the thumbs up turned into the thumbs down. Private Party voted to kick out Matt Hardy. Everybody beat down Matt. And then you had Sting and Darby Allin running down to make the save, but they were overwhelmed. It was like 6 guys against 3. The numbers were still against them. Cue the music. Jeff Hardy is back. Jeff Hardy making his AEW debut, coming out to the classic Hardy Boys theme song, which people were wondering, how could AEW use it? The answer is WWE does not own that theme song. I remember years ago it was on other TV shows, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Well, it's not a song that WWE owns. They licensed it, just like other companies can license it, and that's what AEW did. They are licensing the music. So the Hardy Boys have their classic theme song. Interestingly enough, WWE never changed it to something that they owned. But yeah, Jeff Hardy coming out, getting the big reaction, cleaning house. Matt hit the twist of fate on Blade, and then Jeff hit the Swanton bomb. You had the big hug with the Hardys. Matt looked really happy, and this was such a cool moment. Matt genuinely looked like it was one of the greatest moments of his life to be there with his brother in AEW. So awesome segment. Great way to debut Jeff. Way better than Jeff's TNA debut. I saw some people on Twitter comparing Jeff's AEW debut to TNA. This was a lot better of a debut than that TNA debut from 2010. Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Says, the only problem I had was Jeff doing his poses on the way to the ring. Just run and make the save. If it was real, you wouldn't waste time. Just go. Well, he had to milk the moment for a little bit and just let them know, hey, look at me. I'm here, guys. I'm coming for you. So I was okay with it. Didn't really bother me that much. Yeah, he could have just ran down there, but you want to give the people a moment to be like, that is indeed Jeff Hardy. I mean, the music obviously gives it away, but yeah, I had no problem with it. Great segment here. Great way to debut Jeff Hardy. Hardy Boys. I mean, we all expected it. I mean, it wasn't really a surprise or anything. You knew this segment was leading to this. And we knew Matt was going to get booted out of the group. This was building up for weeks. But yeah, execution-wise, I thought it was very well done. We had Swerve, Shane, let me try to say this without stuttering. Shane Swerve Strickland interviewed backstage, and Tony Nese quickly interrupted him and challenged him to a match on Rampage and brought up how they were used to facing each other on Friday nights, I guess 205 Live, and wanted to give him a proper welcome to AEW. Hamp Connell sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Jeff and Sting in the same room or same ring, smell the tension. Well, I'm sure Sting forgave Jeff Hardy a long time ago for that. Sting's a good Christian man. I don't think he's going to hold a grudge on Jeff Hardy. And yeah, Jeff Hardy doing the Swanton at 43. I mean, Jeff could still go for sure. And he looked healthy. He looked good. I'm guessing Tony Khan would not have even considered signing Jeff Hardy if Jeff had any sign of not being well. So I'm confident this run will go well. There's a lot of potential for the Hardys. So many matches they can do. But I'm sure we'll talk more about this on the No DQ review. But yeah, my overall thoughts, I thought it was a really strong debut. We had Tony Schiavone interviewing Wardlow in the ring. Wardlow talking about how he turned against his man MJF at the Revolution pay-per-view and gave the Dynamite Diamond ring to CM Punk. Wardlow said it's time to fulfill his own dreams. He said for too long, he's been spending time helping others. And he said that he knew MJF was not a good person. He asked the fans to forgive him for associating with trash. He said that he was poor growing up. He wanted to provide a better future for his family. And Max MJF did change his life, and he thanks MJF for that. However, that does not give MJF the right to disrespect him. And he said that the slap last week was the final straw. And yeah, he is still under contract to MJF. However, he doesn't give a damn. He is done with MJF. He is done with the Pinnacle. He is finally free. And he said that if MJF will let him out of his contract, they can go their separate ways, and that'll be the end of it. He said he is moving forward. He is vowing to win the TNT title, but he wants it all. He wants it all, and he wants it now. He said that AEW is officially Wardlow's world. I was wondering how this would go. Wardlow has shown a lot of potential in recent weeks. He's coming out there, powerbomb, symphony, destroying people, getting these big reactions. Kind of feels like Goldberg when Goldberg was getting hot. But could he talk? This was a big test for him. And I thought he did very well. I thought this was a really good promo from Wardlow. And I felt like he was relatable. And it gave me early 2005 Batista vibes. I saw a comment in the chat. This felt to me like when Batista was getting really hot in WWE. And if AEW pulls or plays their cards right, I should say, Wardlow could be a really big deal. Like, this guy could be a legitimate superstar. Not just a pro wrestler, but a larger-than-life star that this company needs. If AEW was going to be a real powerhouse in the industry long-term, they're eventually going to need somebody who has mainstream appeal. And I think Wardlow could very well be that guy. Like, I was not completely sold, but after tonight, when I heard him talk, I thought he handled himself really well. And this guy could be a really big deal if AEW plays their cards right. We will see. Richie the Wolf sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, was the Pinnacle only a group formed just to feud with and lose to the Inner Circle? I really thought that group was to help MJF become world champion. Well, I think it was to have the feud going on with the Inner Circle and also to elevate those guys and yeah, build up MJF heel with a bunch of guys watching his back type of thing. It served several purposes, and it ran its course, and they all pretty much went their separate ways. But yeah, I think it was largely to do the feud and do the blood and guts match with the Inner Circle. Because yeah, Chris Jericho is a babyface versus MJF by himself, psychologically doesn't really work. MJF's got to have guys with him as well. We had Keith Lee backstage with QT Marshall. I guess QT was trying to butter up to Keith Lee, wanted to get on his side, but Keith Lee said he's good. He doesn't need anybody's help. And then we had the tag team titles on the line. Jurassic Express versus the Acclaimed. Good match here. Good tag team match. And there was even a point where I thought maybe we were going to get a title switch. They worked over Jungle Boy for a while. Luchasaurus got the hot tag. On several occasions, Anthony Bowens tried to use the boombox. And then at one point, you had Max Caster drop kicking the boombox into Luchasaurus's face. And that's when the Acclaimed double teamed Jungle Boy. And they got me. I thought this was going to be a title change, but Jungle Boy did kick out. And then Caster tried to use the chain, but Christian Cage out there stopped Caster. And then Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus did the Doomsday Device and scored the pinfall victory over Bowens. So yeah, I enjoyed this match. Love that near fall after Luchasaurus got knocked out with the boombox. And yeah, Acclaim, they're building up momentum as a tag team, even in the loss. And Jurassic Express continue to establish themselves as a top force, and ultimately they are the tag team champions. So they pick up another victory here as champions. So thumbs up segment. I enjoyed it. Carl with a $1.79 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, can you see AEW going 3 hours with the roster so big? I don't think they should. I would never rule it out. But if they do anything, maybe Rampage goes 2 hours. I do not think Dynamite will become a 3-hour show. I really don't. Yeah, and I agree with this comment too. The Acclaimed, they're really catching on. Like at first, I was not really digging it. I felt it was too much like a John Cena 2003 knockoff. But I'm enjoying it now, and I feel like Max Caster is getting more comfortable out there, and Bowens doing his line. Like it's a fun act. I've been getting into it. I will admit that it has grown on me over the past several months. And there was a comment here from Calvin Bowman. Where was CM Punk tonight? Selling the match. I liked the fact that there was no CM Punk and no MJF on this show. They had a dog collar match. They beat the holy hell out of each other. Like, I miss those days where you have this brutal match on pay-per-view and you don't see the guys right away. Like, have them sell the impact of the match. I thought it was a good thing that there was no CM Punk and MJF on this show, because it sells how brutal that dog collar match was. We had Thunder Rosa versus Layla Hirsch in a number 1 contenders match. And this was pretty much what you would expect. Well, it was in the 9:30 spot, so that was to be expected. And Layla Hirsch, after a while, they went back and forth for a bit. Layla grabbed the turnbuckle link, which is what she did during the buy-in show prior to AEW Revolution. That's how she beat Chris Statlander. But Red Velvet stopped her from using it. And then the match continued. Layla put on a submission, but Rosa was able to get to the rope. And then Rosa hit the Fire Thunder Driver to pick up the victory and secure her rematch for the women's championship. And then Tony Schiavone revealed that it will be a steel cage match next week in Thunder Rosa's hometown of San Antonio. Big match next week. I presume that's going to be the title change that we all thought was going to happen at Revolution. Britt Baker cut a promo, said it's conspiracy shit, and it's not fair that Thunder Rosa gets another opportunity to compete for the title so quickly, but she said she is not afraid of a cage match. And Calvin Bowman, stick to the topic. This is an AEW Dynamite recap, not WWE. So shame, Calvin Bowman. Our main event of Dynamite, Sammy Guvvara defending the TNT Championship against Scorpio Sky, who apparently has this great record with the rankings. I never really noticed because I think he probably picks up most of his wins on Dark or Dark Elevation. Sammy's ribs were taped up, so he was not 100% going into this match. No, CM Punk was not on the show to answer a ringing return. Sammy was on the offensive, trying to take an aggressive approach here. He threw Scorpio Sky into the steel steps on the outside. He set up a table. He laid out Scorpio on the table, and he went for a 630 splash off the top to Scorpio Sky, who was laid out on the table, but Scorpio Sky moved. And Sammy Guvvara crashed and burned through the table. And Ty Conti ran down. Ty Conti dating Sammy Guvvara, and it was acknowledged on commentary. She was checking on him, and it looked like he was going to be pulled from the match, but he refused to give up. He refused to walk to the back. The match did continue, and he spit in Scorpio Sky's face. Scorpio pretty much dominated the match here. Paige Van Zant was at ringside. She was taunting Ty Conti. Sammy managed to make a comeback, hit the springboard cutter, but could not make the cover right away, selling the ribs again. And he hit the GTH, the go to hell, again. Could not make the cover, so he laid out Paige, and he went to the top. He went for a shooting star press, but Sky got his knees up, and then Dan Lambert got on the apron on the other side of the ring. Ethan Page tried to get on the apron. Ty Conti pulled him off, but then Paige Van Zant attacked Ty Conti, threw her into the steps, and Sammy was checking on his girlfriend, and that's when Scorpio Sky hit the TKO, and he picked up the 1-2-3 victory to become the new TNT champion. I love this angle. This was really well done. You get Paige Van Zant in there, and then Scorpio Sky hit Sammy with the championship afterwards. Ty Conti tried to protect her man, and that's when Paige Van Zant grabbed the contract and signed the contract using Ty Conti's ass. I thought that was pretty funny. And I thought this was a really good angle to end the show. Scorpio Sky getting the title. Good for him. Is he going to be a transitional champion, though? He's facing Wardlow next week. I think this was the right decision. Sammy Guevara versus Wardlow really would not work out too well with Wardlow rising up as a babyface and Sammy's a babyface. But what about MJF? Will MJF screw over Wardlow? So you really don't know for sure what's going to happen. Scorpio Sky could be a transitional champion, or maybe MJF screws him. Who knows? So I like that aspect of it. You really don't know for sure what's going to happen next week. Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat. He thinks that Scorpio Sky is just going to be fed to Wardlow. We shall see, or maybe MJF lets it happen so MJF can take the TNT title from Wardlow. definitely a possibility. Could go either way. But all in all, this Dynamite was excellent. Dynamite's had some really strong showings over the past year or two. But I thought that this was maybe the best Dynamite of 2022 so far, and one of the best ones since the return of Live Crowds. This was a must-watch show, in my opinion. Some great angles on this show. You had Jeff Hardy's debut, the Chris Jericho double cross, the main event angle with Scorpio Sky winning the title, and you set up Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker for next week. You continue the Adam Cole, Adam Page storyline. Not much negative I can say about it. They really didn't do too much with the inside references, which I mentioned earlier. Maybe one of the things I would do differently is not do so many of those. And apparently there was a Jade Cargill segment, which I must have completely missed. So my apology for that. All in all, I mean, I would give this Dynamite an A. I don't know if I would go with an A+, but it was a top tier show for sure. And it'll be hard to top. It was a very strong post pay-per-view Dynamite. You typically expect the show after the pay-per-view to be strong, and I felt this one definitely delivered. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I appreciate the viewership and support as always. If you liked the video, do not do what the Andrade family office did. Don't give it a thumbs down. Give it a thumbs up. Tell a friend. Spread the word about the channel. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the latest news and rumors. And enjoy the rest of your week. Tune in for the No DQ review. We'll have more thoughts on the Revolution pay-per-view and the fallout. And on that note, I will see you guys next time. Remember, say yes to NoDQ.com.